The word vulnerable is used often in this book and for good reason. What does it mean and who are the vulnerable people around you?
So we said vulnerable meant that they were unable to basically fend for themselves. And I think I wasn't one who's supposed to be speaking.
Okay.
I can do it.
And a hush fell over the crowd. Hush. You said vulnerable men.
So, Phil Strike's group, so we said anyone that can be taken advantage of because of an incapacity, disability, or lack of knowledge.
Okay. Which would include a lot of children. lack of
Children,
knowledge.
elderly, yeah.
Okay.
In Dan's group, we put anyone who's looking to you for leadership also.
Excuse me?
Anyone who's looking to you for leadership in their spiritual life or physically.
Okay. You know, in business, it's anybody who you have authority over. And if you're in business, you have to be very careful, don't you? Because a lot of the sexual cases and so forth, accusations, are for people who are in leadership positions putting pressure on those under them, those who are vulnerable, those who are under your leadership. Anything else? The other group? Yes.
We look up the dictionary definition. We looked up the dictionary definition, so vulnerable means susceptible to physical or emotional harm specifically. And then obviously the people who are vulnerable around you is a very personal question, but typically it's gonna be children. That's the obvious one to think of. Like in my case, my nephew, he's 3 months old. So very susceptible to physical harm. That was our answer.
Okay, yes,
There
Scott.
were 2 of us that had parents that had dementia or gone through dementia. That's a chunk of society that is expanding and very, very much in need of protection.
No. The vulnerable adults, and with those of us who are now retirement age and getting older, I hope and pray that I was a good father because I'm gonna probably need quite a few kids. Anyway, let's go to the next one. Eric, Jeff, or David Moss. In what ways does our culture influence us to betray our role as protectors and keepers of the garden? Eric.
One of the things that we discuss in our group is how society has basically taken masculinity out of everything. It's wrong to show your masculinity in things. You see countless commercials and TV shows and movies and all that where the father of the house ends up being the big dummy, and it's the wife is the brains in the outfit, and even the children end up being smarter than the father because he's just too old and out of touch with everything. And it's in today's society, it's wrong to be masculine.
What is the most common adjective associated with masculinity? Toxic in our culture today.
Wow.
And that's really sad. That's really sad. Is there toxic masculinity out there? Yes, there is. But it's almost like that's the majority. That's the norm. Okay, next group.
Oh, just before you go on, I think it takes a village to raise a child. You said cultural influence. That's a big one. They feel they have the right and responsibility to be the parent figure in people's lives.
Who's they in that context?
They I was thinking the education
got it.
system,
Sure, yeah.
the government, they take over for the parents. And then the parents, like the dads just fall out. If they don't have to be financially responsible for their kids, they're like, I can have 42 children.
It takes a village to raise a child. Quote of Hillary. There is some truth to that. You know, we hope that our congregations will be a good place to foster children and their growth. Other groups, do we have, David?
Yeah, so we boiled it down to just basically society promotes selfish ideals and unbiblical ideals to both men and women. They talk about, encourage women to basically toss men aside, you don't need them. And they encourage men to, well, if they don't need you, go have fun. I mean, basically, a bunch of big children running around is kind of the idea, and, just pursue what you want to both of them, and abandoning their God-assigned roles that ultimately are the benefit of the family and society.
Okay, we're already over time. Do I have permission to go for a little bit? Okay. Steve Nauman, Daryl Hazlett, and Caleb Schaller. The people in our home should feel more secure because we're there. Did you have the security from your father growing up, or was he absent or threatening? How might you do things differently? Oh, who gets to be chosen to answer that?
We began with trying to figure out what makes a good father, and a good father at bare minimum was available when needed. And to answer the final question, or the second question there, how would you do things differently? And basically we came up, we would glean what was good from our own father and then make improvements, or try and make improvements upon what we thought was not completely fulfilled or done correctly.
All righty. Next group. Who's up next? Thank you, Dan.
Are we moving on to the next question?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So we're on 4 now?
No, we're on 3.
We're on 3? Oh.
Yeah, moving it over to 3.
What we discussed was that some of us actually still had our fathers in our house, others had grandfathers that have raised us. And we talked about how does that change your perception as being a father. And really, we just said we wanted to make sure that our children knew we were there. We discussed, do we have to tell them, or do we just show up at all their practices and be there for them? So we weren't really sure on that. We think there's some advantage to telling them we're there for you, because sometimes they need that reinforcement. One thing that we brought up as well is that you want to be absent and not threatening, but you want to be accountable. You want to make sure that you bring your children up in the Lord, and that also involves discipline, to correct them and make sure they know right from wrong.
And children want to be corrected and disciplined. I mean, we're not talking beating the stuffing out of them, but children like to have those parameters that makes them feel secure.
Absolutely.
Any more on that question? All righty. Joel, Neil, Jerry, number 4. Why does Brent not object to the sheltering of children? How does the media in particular affect kids, and what is your role in making sure their childhood doesn't end prematurely?
With the group that I was a part of, we talked about how, especially in today's society, the quality of the media the restrictions of the morality that put out things in the media has gone down so much in the last couple of years, so it's especially important to make sure that, like for movies and TV shows that we're allowing our children to view, we need to watch those and monitor and make sure what we're letting our children see isn't something that they shouldn't be seeing. Because childhood is a time for a child to develop, and you don't want to throw everything at them right away to try and understand and figure out what's right and what's wrong. It needs to be something that you start with the basis of what is right and what is wrong, and then go gradually from there and build off of that. So with the sheltering of children, it's your responsibility as a parent to make sure, well, you're responsible for your own children and figuring out how you're going to be raising them in a manner that would make them functioning individuals in society, yes, but you don't want to let society raise your children.
Next group.
So we had a lot of the same with, Disney and Sesame Street. Thank you. They're being a lot more open with the gay transgender agenda, and so being proactive and talking about those topics before, because you can't always monitor perfectly. And so, you're going to see the new movie, but there's something in there you didn't expect. You have to kind of be preemptive in that. And then when mistakes do arise, as nobody's perfect, those will create teaching moments for you to learn and grow, and for your children to learn and grow. Yeah.
Okay. Next group? Are we done? Good. Okay. Number 5, anybody have some thoughts on number 5 before we conclude? If you haven't read the book, as you read the book, I would encourage you to think about different passages that you have learned that you can apply in areas. As I said, in this section, there was only one scripture passage reference. Lots of references to God, very good. But I do think it's helpful to do that. I had chosen a hymn to close this, and it's "O God, Thou Faithful God." And if you ever attend one of my services, I very seldom have people sing all the stanzas. And this morning, as I was typing these in, every one I came to, I was thinking of Jack Mayhew. And I said, oh boy, Jack, that would be a really good one. So I ended up with all 8. I don't think that we'll do all 8. Now that I haven't seen them, let's close with the first 4. Da 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 da. Is that right, Dan? Yep. O God, Thou faithful God, Thou fountain ever flowing, who good and perfect gifts in mercy art bestowing, give me a healthy frame, and may I have within a conscience free from blame, a soul unhurt by sin. Grant Thou me strength to do with ready heart and willing whate'er Thou shalt command, my calling here fulfilling, to do it then I ought, with all my might and bless the work I thus have wrought, for Thou must give success. Oh, let me never speak what bounds of truth exceedeth. Grant that no idle word from out my mouth proceedeth, and then when in my place I must and ought to speak, my words grant power and grace, lest I offend the weak. If dangers gather round, still keep me calm and fearless. Help me to bear the cross when life is dark and cheerless, and let me win my foe with words and actions kind. When counsel I would know, good counsel let me find. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.